What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is probably my third time trying this. I'm hoping to have a little bit of clips with the dog interrupting me. But anyways, today what we're doing is talking about the PSP and PS Vita in 2024. Now, one of these systems I have a lot of experience with and is very close to my heart, while the other I've just recently gotten and have absolutely fallen in love with. If you don't know which is which, I'll cover that right now, because this video is going to be broken up into some parts, where the first part is my general personal experiences with the systems. Then we're talking about the games that are on each system. After that, I just want to speak about the experiences of actually playing the system. So how they feel in the hand. Have they aged well? Do you get like cramps when you play? How is it having one analog stick versus the dual analog sticks on the PS Vita? Things like that. And then I want to touch on which is my favorite at the moment and why. But let's hop into the first part, which is my general experiences. Now I have my cue cards, my notes, if you like. That's why I keep looking down. But I think we should just pop these over here, and hopefully that doesn't make too much of a noise. Now, I've written down a few things just to touch on so that I don't get too sidetracked. And when I think of the PSP, the first thing that comes to mind is this was my first handheld system. I can still remember why I wanted it and when I got it. I wanted it because I saw it in Journey to the Center of the Earth, where Josh Hutcherson was playing it on the plane when they were flying to Iceland. I still remember that clear as day. He went on to Google something, and I loved it. Brendan Fraser even called it a Game Boy. And that kind of just sparked this want and desire for a PSP in my heart and my need, or in my mind, sorry. And I eventually got one. I got a blue one, a 3000 model that I stupidly sold. I had the box, I had everything, I had a whole bunch of games. And then a couple of years later, I was like, nah, this isn't working for me. I need my PSP back. So I eventually got another one, and it was a blue one from one of my family friends. And I was busy trying to fix the UMD drive, and the whole system just stopped working and broke. So then I eventually had to buy another one, which is the one that I have now and that I play on now, and that is this black 3000 model. Now, the PSP for me is a really, really special device. As I said, I can still remember everything about it. And it has a lot of games that I played on it. I played a lot. I played the death out of this thing, if I could say it like that. I played pretty much every game that I could get my hand on, and that wasn't that many because I was quite young. So games like Gran Turismo on PSP, where you could repeatedly carry on doing things, the same things, those are the type of games that really helped me get through that period of time because you could just carry on playing them. I also remember playing Star Wars Republic Heroes very frequently. I think I finished the game about 3 or 4 times. Now, by all stretches of the imagination, that's not a very good game anymore. It was very difficult when I tried to boot it up a couple of months ago. I could not get through the first level. It was way too difficult, and I definitely remember clearing it a couple times. So as I've gotten older, it's become a lot more difficult to play the PSP, and I wonder if that's just because more modern games are more accessible and more easy to actually enjoy and play. But other than that, I think the PSP is still a great device. If you checked out last week's video, playing it on the TV, that was actually a really fun experience for me. The dual analog sticks of the PS Vita definitely make the PSP feel a little bit worse. But I remember playing a lot of this, and it wasn't that bad. It was better than what we had from, well, it was better than the DS in my opinion. I think the DS had a whole bunch more games, and they had the Pokemon series, which really helped them through. But for me, the analog stick on here definitely made games such as like God of War, Chains of Olympus, and games such like that, or Daxter, much more playable on the PSP. And I really enjoyed that aspect of this. You're playing almost like a generation in between the PS1 and PS2. That's how I would describe the games that you play on the PSP. And sometimes you had real top quality PS2 level games on the PSP, and I think that that is what they were trying to achieve with the system. They had some very innovative thoughts when it came to what a handheld system should be. They had movies, they had MP3 players, they had all these things. I mean, it was famously called the Walkman of the 21st century. If you want to know more about the PSP, please watch Mystic's documentary, even the PS Vita. Those two documentaries are golden. I love Mystic's videos, and his documentaries are top class, and I definitely think I will link those in the description, and you should definitely check those out. But anyways, that's enough about the PSP. What about the PS Vita? This is a more new system to me. I've only had it for about 8 to 10 months, and I love it. It took me a while to get used to it. It took me a few games These are all the games that I have, by the way, for the PS Vita. I have way more PSP games, but these are the games that I have on PS Vita. And the first game that I got before I even had the PS Vita, and that is Uncharted: A Golden Abyss, or just Golden Abyss. I played quite deep into this game. I think I'm on chapter 26. I think there's quite a few more that I still have to get through. I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty. Don't know why. Maybe I'm just silly that way. And when I booted up this game, I was like, whoa, this is really like PS3 level on the go. The OLED version of the PS Vita just makes games look so good. I haven't had the chance to play the Slim, but playing something like Golden Abyss on the PS Vita really showed me what this system was capable of. It made use of both the touchpad in the front and the back. It made use of the gyro. It makes use of pretty much everything that the PS Vita has to offer. So this Uncharted Golden Abyss is how I imagine the tech demo of the PS Vita looking like, basically. Similar to how Astro's Playroom is on the PS5, this is kind of Astro's Playroom for the PS Vita. That's how I view it. But eventually it got a little bit meh, and I didn't really finish it. The story's good, the combat's there, but pushing all the Vita features kind of just makes it a little bit less approachable in some stages. And what I really wanted the PS Vita for was to go back and play old PS2 classics on the go. And none are bigger than God of War, the God of War collection. Excuse me one moment. She just wants to come on the couch. So none are bigger than the God of War collection, and this is God of War 1 and 2, and they play really well on the Vita. I've been loving playing through God of War 1 again. I never finished it as a kid. Obviously, as a kid, I wasn't really supposed to be playing it, so having the opportunity to go through and playing them finished is a really awesome thing, and to do that on the go wherever I need to is something that I've been really thrilled to have. But I do have two other games that I've bought that I haven't played pretty much at all. That is Assassin's Creed Liberation and Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. I hear good things about both of these. I don't think they are PS Vita defining, but that's where the next game comes in. This is my single most expensive secondhand game that I've ever bought. This is very pricey in South Africa. I don't think we got that many of them here. This basically cost me the same price as a new PS5 game, which says a lot. And yeah, I love this game. I had never played a Persona. I still have Persona 5 sealed on my shelf. But this game is special. It is something unique, something that I didn't know that I needed in my life. I've been wanting to get back into JRPGs. The only JRPGs I really played were the Pokemon games. I love turn-based combat. I love those type of things. And I don't think you can really consider them that much of JRPGs. They've changed quite a bit in recent times. I haven't played anything since Omega Ruby, but this has been eye-opening to me. I have been loving it. It makes me want to go back into the old classic JRPGs, maybe play some Final Fantasies finally. I've never played them. Well, I've played them, but never actually gotten anywhere past the first 2 hour marks. And this has opened the door for me to actually go and do some of those things. It has been such an awesome experience playing through this game. I'm 40 hours in. I have still so much more to do, and I can't wait to finish this and hop into Persona 5. I'm just worried that I like these type of games as portable versions or portable gaming experiences, and I'm not really gonna know how to feel about it on the PS5, but that's a problem for another day. Persona 4 Golden has really awoken me to what the PS Vita truly became in its latter years. I know that it is an indie machine, especially for JRPGs, and it is loved for that. Now, I do need to mention both of my experiences are completely unmodded. I didn't mod any of them. I didn't mod the PS Vita and I didn't mod the PSP. I respect the idea for that, and I know that a lot of people do that, and they love the experiences like that. It sounds really awesome. I'm just the type of person that I want to keep everything as original as possible. Maybe someday I'll get other systems that I will mod, but it's not really my type of style. I like keeping things as original as possible so that I can have those original experiences, even if that means I have to pay quite a high price for some games. And yeah, I like playing things like that. So those are my personal experiences on the PSP and the PS Vita. Let's move into the games. Now, I was very surprised when I checked out Metacritic because I was curious as to what were the two highest rated games or the highest rated games on PSP and PS Vita. Now, I wasn't surprised when Persona 5 or Persona 4 Golden, sorry, was the highest rated on the Vita. I kind of expected that. I knew that already going into it, and I can see why. It's such a great game. The dialogue is sometimes a bit quirky, but it's such an awesome experience to go through. What I wasn't expecting was that God of War Chains of Olympus is the highest rated PSP game. I was really not expecting that. And I've played quite a bit of this. I haven't finished it. And from what I can remember, I really enjoyed this game. It was really a portable version of like the God of War experiences that you would experience on PS2 on the PSP. Obviously, now we have the God of War collection on Vita that we can play on the PS Vita, obviously. But when the PSP came out, that wasn't the case. We had this, and this is incredible. Being the highest rated PSP game, I was quite surprised. It has a 91 on Metacritic, where Persona 4 Golden has a 93, so do with that information what you will. It doesn't bother me too much. Both of these are very fantastic games, but of very different genres. I know Persona 3 Gold or Persona 3 Portable is also on the top 3 list for PSP. I think it's number 3. So the Persona series is really something special on the portable systems that Sony has. I just think that these type of games are more suited to the portable systems than these type of games. Don't get me wrong, love this, but I think I'd rather play this on the God of War collection on PS3 to finish it off, and then play something like Persona 3 portable on the PSP. I don't know where you guys lie on that type of argument. I just feel that it's easier to play turn-based games on portable systems and more action-oriented games on home systems. That's just where I stand. I don't think it's the do-all or end-all. I do enjoy playing like God of War collection on the PS Vita, but for me, this is a much better experience than this. It's just how I feel. I love playing the turn-based games on the portable systems. It's just more fun for me. I think if I had to go back and try play Final Fantasy X, I would definitely try to get a copy on the PS Vita. I know there's some issues where the Final Fantasy X-2 is actually a digital copy. I don't know if that's the case in PAL regions as well. I'll have to check that out. But anyways, I'm digressing. One thing that the PSP, though, does have over the PS Vita is its library of games is far more extensive. We had early games where, like Uncharted, where we had proper AAA support, and then third-party support like Assassin's Creed Liberation. I still haven't cleaned off the prices and everything, so sorry. That comes off really easily. Don't worry, it doesn't damage the cases. But these were like proper AAA experiences on the go. And by the end of the game cycle or the end of the generation cycle, we had more JRPG style games. This is also AAA. That's a bad example, but we had a lot more indie support for the system. Whereas throughout the life cycle of PSP, we had very big AAA type games. We had Gran Turismos, we had God of Wars, we had Mortal Kombat, we had Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Acid here. We also had Metal Gear Solid, Peace Walker. I didn't pick that off the shelf, but we had a lot more AAA experiences. So, and in addition to that, we also had a lot of JRPGs. So if that's your argument there, I think just based on game libraries, the PSP kind of clips it. I think it has a far more extensive experience that available to its players. There's genres that I haven't even touched on that they have on the PSP, whereas the PS Vita almost became this JRPG machine, and that's all that it was known for at the end. And I think that's quite sad because we had some absolutely amazing games and amazing looking games like Uncharted. And I kind of think of the Nintendo Switch now, how it's kind of taken that mantle from the PS Vita. Obviously, the Switch has been out for a long time, and it's become that JRPG machine, but it also handles console-level games really well. I know you can play The Witcher on there. My mate showed me that the other day, and that was quite an impressive for me. Obviously, it's nowhere near what you're going to be playing on a console, but it's still very impressive that it's handling AAA games that well. Whereas I think the AAA game bandwagon kind of fell off really early for the PS Vita, and that's kind of sad, but we do have a lot of great experiences on the Vita. I just think the library is far more extensive on the PSP. with that being said, one thing that I do really love about the PS Vita, and I have touched on it, is that it's basically my portable PS2. Now, I don't have very many games. I have God of War Collection, and that's PS2 games. I would love to get the Jak and Daxter games, the Ratchet and Clank trilogy, but I know that's going really expensive. These are the type of games that I thought that I would be wanting to be playing on the PS Vita, but ever since I played Persona 4, my narrative has kind of swapped, and now I want to be playing more of those JRPGs. Still PS2 games like Final Fantasy X, like I've mentioned. So there is a definite switch in my mentality of what I want the PS Vita to be compared to what I thought I wanted it to be, this portable PS2. It's not really that anymore in my mind. It's this awesome machine to play games like Persona 4 Golden or Final Fantasy X, or even going further back and touching into the PSP library, because the PS Vita can access a few games from the PSP library on the store. I still need to experiment with that. I know they have Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 4, but those prices kind of range. And I do think that for the games that you can, when you can get the PSP version on the PS Vita, I think those might be slightly better experiences, because I know you can map the second analog sticks to do some of the controls. If you see me playing Daxter, you'll see that I use the bumper buttons to change the direction of the camera. And while that works really well in Daxter, I just feel like it would be more natural to do it with the second analog stick. I would love to play Daxter on the PS5 to see how that compares. Just out of vague curiosity, I would love to do that, play the PSP games that are on the PlayStation 5 and see how those experiences differ. But that's a video for another time and an experiment for another time. Anyways, I've rambled on far too long about the games. I just want to talk about the actual experience of playing now. It's the PS Vita. There is no doubt in my mind that the PS Vita is the far superior way of playing these games. The second analog stick and the way that the analog stick is actually formed is way better. It protrudes a little bit further out than the little joystick on the PSP, and it just makes the gameplay that much easier to get through. And I think that it just the second analog stick alone makes the Vita a much superior playing experience than the PSP. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of good about the PSP. I love some of these buttons. I don't know what it is about Sony, but they nail whenever they do buttons. I think that one of the games that I was really excited to play on the PSP when I started reintroducing myself to the PSP was Mortal Kombat, because I felt like a fighting game on this D-pad with these buttons would just be so good, and I wasn't wrong. I enjoy playing Mortal Kombat Unchained on the PSP. It's really good. And the Vita is just as good. I love the buttons on here. I think the buttons might be slightly better on the PSP, but that's personal preference. But everything else about the Vita just is so much better. The quality of the Vita over, obviously I have the PSP 3000 and I have the PS Vita 1000, so maybe the PSP 1000 would be a little bit higher quality if you want to put it like that. I just think the Vita is just a couple steps ahead, but obviously it's a generational leap. It should be. I just love playing the PS Vita. It's so much more modern of an experience. It's not as difficult to pick up some games that I play the PSP. Sometimes when I play the PSP, I can feel the age a little, especially when we were playing the PSP on the TV. I could feel the controls were a little bit outdated. Some of the things were a little bit more difficult to do, but there goes my light. Anyways, I think we have enough natural light to continue. But the PS Vita, I don't have that. I don't have any fatigue. I love playing it. I can play it for hours. The PSP gets a little bit uncomfortable, but the Vita stays comfortable for a good few hours. So general playing experience, the PS Vita definitely clips it. Now, my final thoughts. What is my favorite? And I'm going to do that classic thing where I say I can't really choose. But from what you can tell, I think that the more modern experience is definitely the Vita, and I think you could definitely play the Vita for longer time periods in this more modern setting. I just think that Sony really should release a proper next generation portable system that plays PS4 games or digital libraries, or I don't even think it needs to have cartridge-based systems, or let's please not have UMD systems, because we know how loud those are. I think they could really do something special with making a new system that is an all digital system in this modern world where we have access to our libraries on our PS5s or our PS4s. I think that's what we need. I think that's what should be done nowadays. As that's even coming from me, where I think that physical software is way better than digital. I just think that if we had access to our libraries in some capacity that we've already stored up on our PS4s and PS5s in a digital format on the go, less like the Portal where you have to actually have the system connected to the PlayStation 5 as the host system, I think we would be in a really good spot. I think Sony could do something really magical with that. But my final thoughts are that while the PSP has a fantastic library of games that are superb, and I think we definitely should go back to, I think the more superior playing experience is definitely on the PS Vita. So it depends. Do you want a fantastic library of games or a superior playing experience? Don't get me wrong, the PS Vita still has a great library of games, and the fact that it has access to some of the best PSP games, even now today still, I think that makes it a little bit better, but I can't really separate the two just because of how big of an impact the PSP had on the gaming, on the handheld market. I mean, Sony didn't beat out the DSi or the Nintendo DS by any means. It just really rattled their feathers and made good waves in a way. It made perfect strides into the future and led into what is more of a failure in the PS Vita, but it's still a fantastic system in my eyes, and I'm glad that I eventually got a PS Vita, and now that I have both, I can firmly say that I love both of them. I think that they are both fantastic. But coming to the end of my thoughts, PSP library, Vita hardware, I think that's just the best way to put it. Anyways, I hope that you really enjoyed this video and that you will consider liking, subscribing, and staying tuned for more. We have more exciting videos coming up soon, and I'm going to try challenge myself in the next week to do something a little bit different, and hopefully that will be next week Friday's video. So let's see how that goes, and I hope that you will enjoy the rest of your weekend, and let me know what you're playing down in the comments below. Cheers.